For years, mankind has explored hidden powers of the mind. Most dismissed it as science fiction.
It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what we're doing believing in all this nonsense over all these years.
But what if they were wrong? What if you could summon UFOs? With your mind. What if you had the power inside of you? All this time, would you try it? Would you be afraid? Or would you just go for it?
Because these are going nuts.
They're going off.
And you interact with them, you form a bond. Oh no, you can't record any of this. Turn it off.
Turn it off for a second.
Controversial, huh? That's my middle name.
It's like it turned on and got brighter for 1 second.
Yeah.
I know there's aliens inside there.
Did you see that, Patrick? Oh my God.
Did you hear that? Something is in the bushes right behind you, dude.
I'm ready to see something. If you're willing to show it to me, I'm open. I just want to see what you are. And I look up, and there are these orange lights that are just drifting above the tree line.
I just don't even know what I'm doing with my life. All right, Vetas, how we doing? We are live, and for I guess I would say a momentous occasion. In about 30 minutes time, more or less, there's going to be a press conference in DC, or a press event, whatever you want to call it, with David Grusch and other UFO whistleblowers, members of Congress, on the steps of the U.S. Capitol to push for UAP disclosure and transparency, and for the reveal of groundbreaking revelatory evidence. So we're just going to kind of pregame it here till it starts, because with these live events, I've done so many. Sometimes they start early, sometimes they start late, and we don't want to miss any of it. We're going to go over a little bit of exactly what's going to be at the press conference. I have more details before we get started, and we're just going to go with it, y'all. So thank you for everyone for joining. You just saw the trailer there for my new documentary that's out right now, Psionics. You can go purchase it right now at psionics.film, and very excited for that. Anyway, I do have a special guest joining a little bit later. As soon as they join, we'll bring them right up. All right, what I'm going to do is play just a little clip from News Nation right now to sort of get everyone started with a little background on what's going to happen today. All right. So this is a News Nation interview with Ross Coulthart. Let's take a look.
Transparency on potential extraterrestrial activity could be coming to a head very soon. On Tuesday, lawmakers, whistleblowers, and more are set to head to the steps of the U.S. Capitol. They will demand full declassification of those so-called UFO files. The latest unsealed batch released just weeks ago, you're looking at video from that batch, featuring clusters of mysterious objects soaring through the sky, shape-shifting orbs of light lingering overseas, even flying saucers like objects being shot down by U.S. forces. But some, including whistleblower and former Air Force intelligence officer David Grusch, who originally shared his story right here on News Nation, says there's so much more still left to be seen. The call to action pushing President Trump to keep his full transparency promise. For more, I'm now joined by News Nation special correspondent and investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, host of Reality Check. Ross, thanks for being here for my inaugural show. I'm so excited to have you on tonight.
It's a pleasure, Heather. Lovely to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, so let's start with the upcoming call to action on the steps of the Capitol. It's in a few days. What do you think will come out of it?
It's a drawing of a line in the sand. Ultimately, President Trump really hasn't delivered yet on his promise for full transparency on the UAP files. What we're seeing most of all is a frustration in Congress of a very genuine intention by a well-committed caucus on both sides of the House, the UAP caucus. They're determined to get through laws called UAP disclosure laws that would make it much easier for whistleblowers to feel comfortable about coming forward without retaliation. And the problem that we have at the moment is the president's promising transparency, but he's really not delivering, releasing some interesting but not that promising videos from inside the Pentagon and the intelligence community isn't really going to help when we know from our own sources there are so many more videos, images, and indeed documents and whistleblowers that are only too willing to be brought out into the public light if that can be made possible.
We talked about David Grusch a minute ago. You know him very well, his story of the UFO crash retrieval and, of course, reverse engineering programming within the U.S. government. Is he the one that can demand and make full declassification happen?
David's one of multiple whistleblowers. He's the prominent one because he's known publicly, but I can tell you there are many others behind the scenes. There are people wanting to come forward who don't feel safe about coming forward. And so David's commendably showing leadership this coming Tuesday, basically saying it's time for the government to put its money where its mouth is and back its promises with good, hard legislation. This has bipartisan support, and it should be supported by the president and the White House to make sure it has real effect.
Last weekend, we had Congressman Tim Burchett. He joined News Nation Prime. He claimed that some are interfering with the president's ability to disclose all the information, especially when we ask for transparency. Here's what he said to us. I want your reaction on the other side, Ross.
The people in these alphabet agencies are blocking the president of the United States. As power is control, I think there could be some economic incentives to it. They're going to take this high road and say it's going to disrupt religion and all this other stuff. I just don't buy that as a Christian. That doesn't affect me one bit. I just think they need to disclose everything and quit telling us they don't exist when they're spending tens of millions of dollars on programs that obviously studying them.
What agencies is he talking about? What do you make of these comments, Ross? Do you agree?
I completely agree with Congressman Tim Burchett. He's right on the money. Primarily, it's the CIA. The CIA has acted over the years very much as a gatekeeper on this story. There's been an office inside the CIA called the Office of Global Access, and they've been involved in what we know are retrieval and reverse engineering programs funded allegedly illegally by diverting program monies from other programs. And so Congress hasn't been told about this. It hasn't been kept transparent. And Tim Burchett's completely right. There is obfuscation, obstruction by the CIA and people in the Defense Department and other sections of the intelligence community. And President Trump needs to hold their feet to the fire. There's a good intention from the White House at the moment. They're showing a determination to get to the truth of this matter. I'm assured the president is committed to transparency, and what Tuesday is all about is essentially ensuring that he understands how many Americans and how many people around the world care passionately about this subject and are looking for leadership from him.
All right, last but certainly not least, Ross, you have a new special set for next Saturday. It's called The Road to Disclosure. Tell us more about what we can expect.
Well, we thought it was opportune with the release of the Steven Spielberg movie Disclosure Day to make the point that News Nation's been preeminent in running essentially an expose of what's been hidden from the American taxpayer for much of the last 60 to 70 years. So we're showcasing some of my major interviews, some of the major stories we've brought you on News Nation, and we're bringing some of the behind-the-scenes stories about what else we're investigating and what's to come in the future.
Well, very much looking forward to it. Appreciate your time tonight, Ross. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our
Goodness. Okay, we got just a little backstory there, right, on everything that's happening. And I have the page pulled up, so as soon as this goes live in like 15 minutes, we'll be ready to go. We got a guest joining here. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come up. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's welcome Gino from the Y-Files. Welcome, my man.
Thanks for having me. Did I miss anything this morning?
You missed disclosure. Period.
It's over.
It happened, dog. Yeah, it happened, dog. I love it. You're joining us from your lakeside mansion. That's beautiful.
We're undisclosed. Yeah. We're undisclosed as always.
I love it. Yeah, this press conference, David Grusch, many other whistleblowers I know are going. Tim Gallaudet, Jeff Nucatelli, who you've met, I remember, and Burleson, Luna, Burchett. I'm sure some other people are going to be there on the steps of the Capitol. James Fox and Leslie Keane are hosting this event, essentially. And that's it. We're just waiting for it to start. And I'm actually going to pull up real quick just so everyone can see. Let's see. Make sure I do this right.
Yeah, I got to know Jeff real well. I would say he's one of my favorite people to spend time with when I'm going to these conferences and things like that. And getting to hear his story firsthand and being able to fire questions at him, really interesting. Because he will give you answers, and it doesn't seem like there are holes in his story, especially because he's not a witness of 1,000 things. He's a witness of one giant cube, which is so interesting, a football field size cube, and over a base that, we know that he was in charge of that base. So his credentials are real. They're easily verifiable, and he has no reason to embellish anything. Again, he's not saying I see these things all the time at the base or anything like that. He talks about the incident that affected the entire base. Really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well said. And he'll be, I don't know if he's speaking or just showing up for support, but there's a lot of attention on this. I mean, you can tell just from the live chat here. Just look how many people have joined in to see what's going on. And I'm also just as curious as everyone else, because everyone's been asking, what are they going to do? What are they going to say? What's happening? Are they revealing new things? I don't know, right? I think a lot of people just don't know. People are being a little coy. I think it's essentially to activate lawmakers and people around it to support the cause. That's what I think it is. It's just sort of a call to action. But until it starts, I don't know. There could be some revelations of some sorts. And, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And it's going to start here literally in 15 minutes. You can see the timer there.
Well, after last night, I was on the vetted Discord after you left, Patrick, and we unpacked it a little bit more, talking about it, and went over some of the testimony of David Grusch originally. And I think one of the most important things that we need to focus on here and should be focused on going forward is biologics. All right, we're all seeing stuff in the sky. But if we have biologics that people are admitting to, that are being testified about, that's the next step in what we're doing. It's like when you went from Close Encounters of the Third Kind to Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. We do need to make that jump, because if we know that it's there and available, it is the it's the most important evidence that we could possibly have. It's hard to believe in the human eyewitness. My father's a police officer, grandfather a police officer. One of the things they used to always say is the least reliable witness is any person, because you have two people who see the same exact thing and think of it differently, and report it differently. So here we are, we're at a situation where people are just reporting the things that they see in the sky. And for the most part, it's a report of their eyewitness, even more so than a camera. So now if we have biologics that are captured somewhere, that are in our possession, let's talk about what they are. I mean, if it's a being, that's it's phenomenal. If it's biologics that are not a being, we need to know. Now, he never exactly said. He said there have been pilots, and he also said biologics came with the discoveries. So that doesn't exactly mean those pilots were the biologics, but it certainly alludes to it. So we'd love to know what we're talking about with biologics. If the president has a mandate that will allow for whistleblowers to have amnesty, then let's start with David, because he has testified under oath to Congress that that we have biologics, and if he was lying about that, then that's treasonous. So I don't believe he's lying about that. So if we already have someone who said biologics are there, let's pull that thread and let's trace that.
Yeah, well said. Well said, my man. And okay, just for everyone watching, we have about 12 minutes before the live stream starts there on the steps of the Capitol. So we're almost there, y'all. We got 10 minutes here, and then everyone's going to be relieved. We can see this starting to get going. I am going to read, I'm going to bring this up. This is the press release that they put out for this. So let's bring that up so we can see the details of what exactly they said about this. All right, let's read. And shout out to Probe Space for gifting 5 vetted memberships. If you haven't checked out Probe Space, check them out. Great app, website. I highly recommend following them. All right, let me read this out a little bit here. So again, it's called the Push for UFO Transparency Intensifies as members of Congress and whistleblowers call for release of groundbreaking conclusive files. I like the word conclusive. Let's hope that is something we either get or they stick to. And it says, amid surging global interest, an unprecedented gathering of senior government officials and civilians will make a direct plea to the president to declassify specific files and for Congress to pass disclosure-related legislation. As a defining moment in the escalating effort for full disclosure on UAPs, a bipartisan group of high-level officials and civilians will convene on the steps of the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday, June 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is in 10 minutes, to issue a call to action on behalf of the American people. UAP whistleblower David Grusch, a highly credentialed former intelligence officer who has testified under oath before Congress, will discuss specific UAP and non-human intelligence-related evidence he encountered in deeply classified channels. Grusch will explain why these records should now be reviewed and publicly released consistent with legitimate national security protections. Quote, President Trump now has an historic opportunity. This press conference is about moving from testimony to action. Let the American people judge the facts for themselves, end quote, said Grusch. This unique press event comes amid an initial declassification directive by President Trump issued in May. As a result, more than 1 billion users worldwide have accessed a government website featuring newly released records, evidence that the issue has reached a tipping point. The event will feature remarks from Representative Eric Burleson, Representative Jared Moskowitz, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Representative Tim Burchett, with additional participants to be announced. It will be hosted by investigative journalist Leslie Kane and documentary filmmaker James Fox. Quote, President Trump is the first president to take concrete steps towards transparency on UAP. The recent releases are an important start. So now it's the obligation of Congress to make sure career intelligence officials don't obstruct his directive in order to prevent selective disclosure or another dead end, Representative Burleson says. Congressional representatives are expected to rally around passage of the UAP Disclosure Act, a formal path towards full transparency, strengthening whistleblower protections, and a call for foreign governments to join the effort. Quote, the public deserves real answers. Congress deserves access, and reality should not be classified, said James Fox. If our requests are fulfilled, this could change the course of history. Bam. So we got that. Just a little change the course of history. No issues there. All right, let's bring up this live stream so we don't miss it when it starts, because it's going to start any minute now, and we don't want to be behind. We got hola, you both. Great news. We hope all will follow. Agreed. Very much agreed. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happened. Again, it sounds like Grusch is going to go over potentially things he's said in the past and testimony he's given and sort of bring it out in this way. And again, it is a call to action. But I bet some things will be said we have not heard before, for sure. I think I'm going to guarantee that. Now, the problem becomes everyone's heard different things. So, but I've heard a lot, and I cover this all day for years. So I will be able to point out when some things are unique. All right, we lost Gino for a second. He'll come back up when he's ready. All right. Let's make sure everything is good to go for this, y'all, because we do not want to miss out. All right, got the camera, got the feed, we got chat. Yeah, we're ready to go. We covered everything essentially leading up to this, all the news that's been had. There's also allegedly, I guess I should say, there's allegedly a rumor that Senator Chuck Schumer may show up to this as well. But that has not been confirmed. I see a question. Will Borland and Brown be there? I don't know. That's a good question, and it's definitely a possibility. We just have no idea who's going to show up.
I had to switch my audio. Tell me if you hear any reverberation background. We're good.
Nah, sound good. Okay. Look good. Sound good. Yeah, ready to do this. Gino, we got 5 minutes before this starts. Let's talk about psionics. Right.
Well, I really I'm excited that we're at the release of the psionics movie. You know, we put a lot of work into it, but it was a lot of fun doing it. You know, and saying the word fun, again, it's like a double meaning for us, because we got to enjoy hanging out with each other and doing this investigation. But it was a real investigation. It wasn't just a vacation for us. We went, you know, to a lot of places, you know, across the Southwest together. I would say we saw anomalous things that a lot we got on film. Some we didn't. You know, it's so interesting as you're trying to get everything on film, and sometimes you're like, I can't believe that happened right after, you know, we stopped filming. So the one thing that really I come away from everything with is we need a lot more investigation. I don't feel like we were gonna get close to that undeniable fact of psionics. I think what I came across with and came out of it with was it's an undeniable fact that it needs more investigation. And we went out there as with interest, but not with scientific interest. Well, not that we didn't have that interest, but not as scientists. We went out there as journalists, and it needs more scientific investigation. That's where I land on it. Is that I think as we move forward, and you know, this is a beginning for me, and I would assume for Patrick as well. This journey. And I think we are going to just continue down this journey, trying to figure out how do we make these things that we're observing more solidified in science, more available to say, hey, it wasn't just my eyewitness. It was this, or it was that, or, you know, even just to whittle it down little by little to say, well, we know that what we were looking at was definitely a satellite, or we know that the reason why we were able to hit on this remote viewing thing is because you had some prior knowledge, or something along the lines of that. More scientific evidence. I think this was a great foray into beginning to where it pushed both of us from skepticism to, hey, we really got to look at this with a different lens.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, totally agree. And the film that Gino's talking about is called Psionics. I played the trailer at the beginning of the stream. It's available now exclusively at psionics.film. There's a link in the top of the description. If you're like, how do I spell that? Don't worry, just go to the top of the description. You'll see it there. Easy transaction. It's a film that we made last summer, and it's just now coming out. Of course, these things take time to put together. And yeah, it was quite a journey. Shot in Miami with a father and son. The Oglesbys, shout out to them. We shot with in Sedona. We did a lot in Sedona. You and I, Gino, with Zenka Caro, John Polk, Benjamin Lone Tree. Trying to think of Ron James. We were with Ron James, filmmaker Ron James, and that was super interesting for sure. Then we went all the way up to Utah with Carl Crusher to film with him in the Mojave Desert and the Anasazi Trail. And it was quite an experience. And then I shot at Contact in the Desert as well at the UFO conference in Palm Springs, and did some interesting things there as well. Got some great interviews. And I also interviewed Mike Batista from Skywatcher, who's also in the film. And then a few other podcasters, Michael Phillip from Third Eye Drops, James Iandoli from Engaging the Phenomena. It was great, honestly, to do all that.
And I know I wish you would have been able to get to Contact this year because everyone was buzzed about the movie. I couldn't walk 10 feet without people asking me about it. So certainly, wow. Everyone was looking forward to when we were putting it out. And you gave me the news right as I was there. So I got to tell a lot of people, hey, it's coming out this week. So keep your eye on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The response has been amazing. Don't worry, y'all. I'm keeping an eye on the live stream. It has not started yet, but any second now. It's already 1 p.m. Eastern. So as soon as it starts, I'm going to pop it up. Yeah. The response has been amazing. It's already been, what I would deem as a success. And we just launched it this, 1 weekend in, and we actually, have a lot coming up with it. So it will be available on streaming down the line here in a couple months. You'll be able to stream it on, the bigger platforms, Amazon and Apple and all of that stuff. But for right now, it's just available exclusively on the website. Again, psionics.film. And in addition to the film, you get about almost 3 hours of additional footage, interviews that we did not include in the film. We filmed a lot. Gino will tell you, Gino had a camera going. Gino had a couple cameras going at one time. I had my camera going, and we were just filming all the time. There was so much, and then you got to whittle all that down, right? And it was a big journey, to get all of that. But yeah, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was like you said, it was it felt like a vacation, like you're working, but we were there to do work. It was fun work, like it was fun to do. I super enjoyed it. And honestly, man, having you there was a godsend, dude, because that really helped the experience. I didn't feel alone in some of those situations,
Sure.
and that was good to have somebody there we could bounce things off of. And especially our like cool downs at the end of the night, we go back to the Airbnb and be able to talk about everything that happened that day. That was really
Sure.
helpful to process all the information and kind of get your head ready and head in a nice space for the next day and what we were going to do. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and if you're fans, you're obviously here because you're fans. So if you're fans of Vetted or the Y Files, you want to see that extra footage. I mean, that there's some magic in that as well, like Patrick's saying, because a lot of what we did wasn't just about
multiple public
viewing
UAP,
here we go.
Oh yeah.
Transparency.
I'm gonna pop it up.
Thanks to many members of Congress, the issue is now being taken very seriously. We, the people, are finally hearing accounts in a credible setting from firsthand U.S. military personnel about highly advanced unknown craft that fly rings around our frontline fighter jets. With President Trump's unprecedented directive to release UAP files, we are seeing more and more of these type of craft captured on various government sensors, and I'm told this is just the beginning. One of the aspects to the phenomenon that's spoken about with less frequency are close encounters of the third kind. Reporting by witnesses of entities of non-human sentient beings connected to the craft. Don't take it from me. Some of these reports come directly out of the United States Air Force's own files. In fact, the very scientists who coined the phrase close encounters of the third kind investigated cases for the United States Air Force from 1947 to 1969, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. According to Hynek, it was cases like those that the United States Air Force desperately tried to keep secret, because it's one thing to try and confuse the public with weather balloons and swamp gas, and another entirely different when dealing with credible reports of non-human beings on the ground. I personally investigated one such case for over 16 years. The case occurred in Varginha, Brazil in 1996 and involves dozens of first-hand reports of UAP and direct contact with living, intelligent, non-human beings who, according to multiple Brazilian witnesses, were flown out of Brazil to the United States in January of 1996. Recently, the former Brazilian Ministry of Defense, Aldo Rebelo, confirmed the incident occurred and stated, if the U.S. disclosed information on this case, then we in Brazil could do the same. Mr. President, I'm respectfully requesting that you declassify and release all files related to this case and others like it. We, the people, have a right to know. Reality should not be classified. Thank you.
Guys, I can't turn the volume up and it sounds like it's mono. That's not from me.
Hi,
That's
everyone.
from them.
Thank you for being here today. And I just want to say, especially for the members standing behind us, as you know, this Congress, we were given permission to stand up the task force on declassification of federal secrets. Many of our colleagues did not believe in this up until really the videos started coming out. And had it not been for the efforts of Representative Burleson, Burchett, Moskowitz, and the countless of other members who have backed us in this fight, you probably wouldn't see some of these files and videos that are coming out today. But it doesn't just stop here. For some time, we've been pushing for there to be legislation, whether it be whistleblower protections or the UAP Disclosure Act, and it's been time and time again stonewalled by various intelligence agencies and staff within the House of Representatives, which is why we are grateful to the administration and their effort, as well as Stephen Miller's office, in pursuing the truth, something that we all should deserve transparency on. And so our next call to action will be that we are meeting with the White House. We are requesting that whistleblowers receive temporary immunity or permanent immunity, and if they are able to divulge whether it is locations of craft and or advanced technologies. As you know, this is something that we are all wanting to know the truth on. And again, without your cooperation, we wouldn't have been where we are at today. And so thank you. I'd like to now introduce Representative Eric Burleson.
Thank you all for being here today. I want to first begin by thanking everyone that's here, and I want to thank my colleagues behind me, this task force. We could not do this without the incredible leadership of Representative Luna and my colleagues on the team. We also wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the brave men and women who have come forward as whistleblowers, who have plowed that soil. We wouldn't be here without these individuals. And we also wouldn't be here celebrating the victories that we have were it not for President Trump. We finally have a leader that the American people can trust to challenge institutions that have grown far too comfortable operating without accountability. For decades, the American people have been treated like children, told that our government secrets that they don't get to know. Don't ask, don't expect answers, just trust the process. Well, the American people are done with that answer, and I'm done with that answer. Over the last 3 years, we have made more progress on this issue than at any point in modern history. We've held hearings. We've reviewed Russian and Brazilian records, including a formal FBI inquiry into the '96 Varginha incident, where witnesses alleged the Brazilian military captured non-human entities and craft and buried the truth. Today, Aldo Rebelo, who was the Ministry of Defense at the time, came forward and admitted that this event was true. We've sent targeted inquiries into MIT Lincoln Laboratories, MITRE, and every government agency that's been connected to UAP. We've worked with lawmakers across 4 continents. We've sought answers on cases like Matthew Sullivan, a would-be whistleblower whose tragic death deserves far more scrutiny than it has received. We've obtained video evidence, including the MQ-9 footage of a UAP incident off the coast of Yemen, delivered to my office through what can only be described as a Tom Clancy-style dead drop. Someone felt that they had, now think about this, someone felt they had to secretly hand information to an elected official, a member of Congress. Why would anyone fear bringing information to Congress? They shouldn't. We are no longer asking hypothetical questions anymore. Congress is requesting specific records and videos. These agencies and contractors know that we know that they exist, and we're going to get them released. We continue to receive credible claims of recovered craft and reverse engineering programs that may have operated for decades outside of any oversight. Those claims point to specific facilities, contractors, records, and people. Congress has a constitutional duty to follow them, and that duty does not vanish because someone stamped a document classified 30 years ago. It does not vanish because some bureaucrat says so. It does not vanish because a program has become so compartmentalized that even elected officials are expected to look the other way. The Constitution gave Congress oversight, authority for a reason. No elected bureaucrat has that authority. This information is not yours to keep. It belongs to the American people. They own it, and they deserve the truth. The most important people in this story are the whistleblowers. David Grusch, Admiral Gallaudet, Dylan Borland, Jeff Nusatelli, and the many others who haven't been named yet. Their careers were upended. Their families were torn apart. They endured an avalanche of stress, all because they believed this information belongs to you, the American people, and they attempted to and tried to get it to you. Some will say that they should have used more proper channels. To hell with the safe way. The safe way protects the system. These are people who simply wanted the American people to see what they know, and they deserve protection. They deserve our respect, and they deserve a second chance. And we are at a different time. This is the age of disclosure. Mr. President, I'm asking you directly, waive the non-disclosure agreements that still bind these patriots. Grant immunity to anyone and everyone who has already come forward and everyone who will come forward. Open the door and let them speak. Because unless people know they will be protected, why would they come forward and step forward otherwise? It is time that we flip the script entirely as well. It has been said by people in positions that know that even presidents have been kept on a need-to-know basis, that Navy pilots, admirals, and generals describe programs to senior officials that commander-in-chiefs were never briefed on. Career bureaucrats who view presidents as temporary help. Here today, gone tomorrow. That is not classification. That's a constitutional crisis. Transparency must be the default in the United States of America, and it should be required for those with knowledge to come forward, not wait for us to ask. There must be real penalties for officials who knowingly withhold information from Congress. Playing dumb is no longer acceptable. Hiding behind classification is no longer acceptable. Mr. President, you know that the agencies lie. You know that firsthand. They have lied to you. They have lied about you. They do not cooperate easily, and they never have. This is the moment. Use the authority that you have, Mr. President. The American people are behind you. And to everyone listening today in government, working for a contractor, retired, anywhere in the world, come to Congress. Come to these group of people. We will work with you. This is a worldwide call for action. And what you know, and help us please release every record, every file, and every piece of information. The time is now. Thank you. And with that, I'll yield to the General, Mr. Perry.
What's that? Just be brief. Be brief, be brilliant, be gone. Well, it's good to be with you all, and it's great to be with my colleagues and people that want transparency in America. And just like my good friend, Mr. Burleson, Representative Burleson said, this isn't the government's information. Unless there's some kind of national security element that's going to imperil our safety, this is our information. We should have it, every single bit of it, and you shouldn't be crazy, and you shouldn't have your reputation destroyed because you want to disclose. This is our government. This is our country. This is our information, and damn it, we demand it. God bless you.
Thank y'all. My name's Congressman Tim Burchett, and I know y'all got up this morning and said, "Dadgum, I hope I get to stand out in the heat and listen to some redneck talk and for too long." Well, I'll keep it short. I am a redneck, proudly. But it's a pleasure being here with you. I want to first salute the bravery of these folks standing back here on the back row for their guts. This country was not created by a bunch of meek pansies. As people that took a stand, and these fellows took a stand, and thank y'all so much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate my colleagues in Congress. I even have to say it, I have to appreciate my friends in the media today, so there you go. I've crossed over the divide. But, you know, I talked to the president about this issue, and he kept his word to me. He kept his word, and I think that's important. But I think we also need to remember, too, when I'm sitting in a skiff and some little punk in a man bun tells me the president's on a need-to-know basis, folks, that ought to tell you right there what we're up against. We're up against corruption. We're up against a cover-up. This thing's been covered up at least since 1947. Dadgummit, the public deserves the right to know. It's your dadgum tax dollars. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist. This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them. Look, we got one or two bites at this apple. Please be careful about the false information that's coming out of Washington on all this stuff. Trust your gut. You know what's right. You know they exist. You know this has been a cover-up since before most of y'all been born. Thank y'all so much. Let's keep fighting for the truth. And thank you, Donald Trump, for keeping your word to me. And you all deserve to be in that skiff with us. We shouldn't be the gatekeepers, and none else of these jugheads up here should either. All right? Let's get at it. Thank y'all.
Man bun. Man bun.
And I don't care if he's across the aisle or not. He's one of the smartest guys I know in Congress, and he's one of my best friends. His name is Jared Moskowitz. Jared, come up here, brother.
All right, that'll be used in my primary. Wonderful.
Excuse me. I hate his guts.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I don't have a plastic Jesus.
Appreciate the correction for the record. Anyways, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here with my colleagues. And let me thank the men and women behind them, not just for their courage, but for their service to the country. And that's what's changed. I mean, look, this conversation started years ago with people like the late Harry Reid, and then Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer, and now my colleagues and many others in the House. But one of the things that changed is the quality and the caliber of people who are coming forward who have served our military, decorated people with the experience, airline pilots, and the technology in our hands, and the technology that our military has. That's what's changed. And what's also changed is we started asking questions, very simple questions. And this is what got me interested in the topic. We would ask questions, and they would then push back. And we would ask more questions, and the pushback became more significant. We would try to put language in an amendment, in a bill, and they would oppose it. They would secretly go to the chairman of committees to strip that language out. And that became clear to us that they were hiding something. And so listen, I don't know what the full truth is, but I know we're being lied to. And the American people know that also. And so look, the time for disclosure is now. Disclosure today, disclosure tomorrow. The American people have a right to know. We know about these advanced technology programs. We know they come out of Area 51. They did when we went to kill Osama bin Laden with an advanced technology helicopter that Congress never funded. There's trillions of dollars missing at the Pentagon. Where does that money go? And so it's time for the government to come forward. And what we need is we need your help, all of you here. I get asked this question by people in my community more than anything else. What does the government know, and why aren't they telling us? The American people can handle it. They can handle it. I trust them. And it's time that we tell them the truth. Thank you.
What?
Introduce yourself.
Yeah. My name is Leslie Kane. I'm one of the reporters who wrote the 2017 New York Times story that fundamentally changed the conversation about UAP. Okay. In the years that followed, members of Congress met with Navy pilots and received classified briefings. Some came to realize that the observed objects were highly unlikely to be American, Russian, or Chinese technology, but nobody would publicly confirm what they were. Then, in 2023, the conversation changed again. Former intelligence official and whistleblower David Grusch met with members of Congress, providing them with detailed information about covert government programs that he said possessed craft of non-human origin. This had been hidden from congressional oversight for decades. I was privileged to have interviewed Mr. Grusch extensively before publishing his story with my colleague Ralph Blumenthal 3 years ago. 6 weeks after the story broke, Mr. Grusch testified under penalty of perjury in an open congressional hearing. While under oath, he spoke about an ultra-secret crash retrieval program and stated that some craft contained specimens or pilots, which he called non-human biologics. The potential existence of another living, intelligent, advanced species has more implications for humanity than the recovery of technological hardware. Now, the conversation needs to shift again, with more of a focus on biology and less on technology. Having served for decades on the staff of Congressional Intelligence and Defense Committees, Kirk McConnell, who is standing here today in the back, he was present in classified settings when highly credible sources briefed senators, including Marco Rubio, about recovered non-human bodies. Unlike legitimate national security concerns that require us to keep advanced technologies of non-human origin secret, that justification should not apply to biological evidence. Knowledge of the existence of another life form, studied and documented by qualified experts, should not be considered a threat to national security. By what authority can any institution withhold confirmation of what may be the most consequential scientific discovery in human history? Knowledge that we are not alone does not belong to any government or military. It belongs to all of humanity. Today, I call upon the President to prioritize the declassification and public release of any evidence concerning recovered advanced non-human biological entities. Thank you, and I turn this over now to David Grusch.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'll try to enunciate. Good afternoon. I'm here today because my leadership on the disclosure issue is part of my continued service to the nation. I took an oath as an Air Force officer swearing allegiance to the principles and the framework of the U.S. Constitution. I took that oath seriously then, and I take that oath seriously now. And if this is one of my final duties of public service, I want it to be this: helping Congress and the President restore lawful accountability over activities and spending that should have never been placed beyond constitutional oversights, and to be transparent with the American people. There are a myriad of issues across multiple cultural, religious, and institutional spectrums. The topics here that we're discussing today go beyond life in the universe. There are serious homeland security and airspace safety issues. There are relevant counterintelligence and technology protection issues that must be taken into consideration. For decades, unknown objects have freely operated in restricted airspace in large metropolitan areas and critical infrastructure, and the agencies responsible for securing the homeland cannot adequately defend against it. This is a serious national security issue. In my official duties, I was exposed to human and signals intelligence information concerning foreign adversary, UAP crash retrieval, exploitation and study efforts, adversary views on U.S. legacy program reverse engineering efforts, and U.S.-held audiovisual information related to crash retrieval matters, such as the recovered vehicles and the associated biological material. One must always be concerned about adversarial disinformation when you're getting foreign intelligence, but I was able to cross-verify this information internally to back up the foreign government assertions. Many of the president's team has been kept in the dark by high-ego, politically appointed actors, both because of incompetence and malicious intent has subverted the president's order on this issue. Furthermore, some of this foreign intelligence has not been provided to Congress despite lawful requests to the Defense Intelligence Agency last summer, and also having formally been published across the IC and analyzed by such analytical centers such as NASIC. These records belong under congressional oversight, and I believe DIA should stop obstructing Chairwoman Luna's task force and provide those documents to Congress and enter it through mandatory declassification review so the American public can see some of the foreign intelligence I had access to. Secrecy around this issue did not appear overnight. Subsequent executive orders, Secretary of Defense memorandums, departmented security, basically nullified Congress's role with the judicial branch with oversight of this issue. Remember, classification exists to protect the nation. Executive Order 13526 discusses what can and cannot be classified. Embarrassment, hiding funds, criminal activity, and the basic information about scientific information in the universe is unlawful for it to be classified. And this is why whistleblower protections matter. Through my federal litigation ongoing with the Department of War, I learned that the Air Force worked with an external agency to seek an investigation of me for alleged unauthorized disclosures punishable under the Espionage Act after I testified in front of Congress in 2023, discussing the results of my congressionally directed investigation in the support of the first Trump administration. This should concern every member of Congress, regardless of party. To this day, I'm still fighting years of record withholding, administrative obstruction, and a prolonged effort to get a medical military retirement that I still am not in a retired status. This is also a real fraud, waste, and abuse issue. President Vance's task force is sharply focused on the issue of misuse of funds. The same accountability problem applies here. And during my investigation, I found slush funds to the tune of billions of dollars per annum for these activities. We cannot have one standard for the American people and another standard for the deep state that hide behind the veil of secrecy. President Trump has the authority to create an enduring legacy of government transparency, accountability consistent with national security protections. Disclosure should not depend on leaks. It should not depend on the public taking my word for it or anyone else's. American people deserve more than vague denials and selective releases of prior administrations, to include through troubled organizations such as ARROW. I applaud the president's efforts and has promised to show true American leadership on this issue of massive worldwide interest, over 1 billion views on the File Drop website. So the time has come to stop asking the public to trust secret conclusions, instead provide an honest accounting of what it knows, what it's done, and what has been withheld. God bless America.
Let's go. Let's go.
I think we have about 4 minutes before they call votes to open it up for a quick round of questions. So if you guys can just, let's start with Real America's Voice.
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to, you know, what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life, but there are several that the U.S. government is aware of.
They asked how many alien species are there. They're asking about Immaculate Constellation.
The content of that program I've discussed on my interview in Judicial Watch. That was a National Security Council program, and the secrecy started in 1954 through an Eisenhower executive order that created that infrastructure. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh. Yep. Mm-hmm. I think the sovereign contract between the citizenry and its government, I think the institutional rots that the lack of transparency in this issue is possibly going to cause an unattainable socioeconomic condition if the government is not transparent, akin to certain other, I don't want to say the Epstein files, that's a dirty word, but we could have that kind of scandal if we're not transparent on this issue.
And do you have any advice for people who are new to the UFO
Mm-hmm.
topic, the UAP topic, who don't know where to begin? There's just so much misinformation out there. What is your advice to them?
I would go watch James Fox's documentaries. I like the Disclosure is a great movie. That's a good primer. So, and I also, there is a declassified 1971 Australian formerly classified secret assessment that a couple years ago was put in the Australian National Archives. I encourage people to read page 7 through 16, and that was the nuclear branch chief of the Australian government discussing the U.S. cover-up and the involvement of the CIA back in the 70s. And that's actually a little-known document that is publicly available.
David, question with whistleblower Matthew Sullivan. Is there anything that you know, or is there anything that ties into what is happening here today with his testimony that never happened because he died 2 weeks, I guess, before?
That's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing federal investigation. Yeah.
They're leading up, but a lot of the stuff that started happening and picking up speed is just weird that it somewhat correlates to the disclosure efforts.
What was he coming in to testify for?
That would be a question for Rep. Burleson. Yeah, David.
Oh, well, yeah, Mr. Sullivan was on the Legacy program. I served on active duty with him in the Air Force, but I don't want to discuss details of his knowledge until the federal investigation is complete. Okay. Yeah, Joe?
So, for those that are maybe not so familiar, can you explain right now what the roadblocks are? What is preventing lawmakers and lawmakers from visiting locations that have been critical to reverse engineering?
David Burchett and Wilson.
The knowledge is there, but the ability to go and see them.
I'll take a stop at that. If Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, if Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, everybody says, go to Area 51, Burchett. All I'm going to get there is a good dadgum T-shirt, all right? The moving van's already going to be there. The problem you have is that these things have been moved into private entities so that they don't have a FOIA. I could FOIA Ford Motor Company, but doesn't mean they're going to do anything. That's why they moved it out of the federal governments, and that's part of the roadblocks. Other roadblocks we've seen, we tried to get a committee. We've had staff members try to block us when we first started this thing with that first hearing that Grusch said that there's biological entities. They tried to move it into remember that Russian balloon that flew over? They tried to move it into that. And what was it? Chinese, excuse me, they're all together, I don't care. No, I know they're not, but they tried to move it into that. We had staff members try to block us. Just the top level. We've been in a skiff before, and we had a member of Congress come in and just try to disrupt the meeting, try to disrupt Grusch, throw him all these trick questions, and he answered every dadgum one of them just right off the bat. He knocked it out of the park. So.
If there's before we have to go, because this is the last question, we do have a meeting set up with the White House. The White House is going to play ball on this. So as Rep. Burleson and Burchett had stated, they are following through on everything that we are sending them. So the next course of action and something that they are willing to entertain is if you are an intelligence official or have knowledge of locations of materials, and in doing our due diligence and following up the task force, they are considering, and I do believe that they are going to be providing immunity permanently, so that people can't be hit with a violation of the Espionage Act. So again, there's a lot of people that have a lot of information, but it's really, can we prove it, and what information can we then bring forward to the American people? So we are still relying on you guys.
Wait a minute, let the guy with it. He's had his hand up the whole time, ma'am. Go ahead. Grusch, there goes the bell.
Quite a few, several dozen. So that's an ongoing list. So can't give you an exact number because I didn't even have full access to that information. Several dozen. Yes. Yeah.
Bottom line, we got to go vote. Bottom line, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the bravery of these individuals who came forward, Mr. Grusch, and all of the whistleblowers. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the political courage of my colleagues who took this issue from being a fringe issue to being something that everyone is talking about and is no longer a fringe issue. And we wouldn't be here if it weren't for this president who has taken a decades-long request and finally brought us into the age of disclosure. And so, and I want to say thank you to the press as well, to James and to Leslie, and to everyone who has helped cover this topic. We're here to fight for the American people, fight for the truth. And again, our last call to action is we want to challenge every foreign country. Do what the United States is doing. See what we're doing here, and we want to see your country follow suit. And we want to see if any individuals have any information, do not be afraid to come to a member of Congress. We will protect you, and we will make sure that the truth is out there. Thank you.
It's shady. Y'all are the media. You figure it out. Of course there's something going on. You had 14 rabbis, 14 preachers, 14 used car salesmen disappear. You'd be asking questions. There's something going on. What? Nothing to do with UFOs. I think he's just ill.
What's the biggest wow that you've seen, Congressman?
Well, since you bear a striking resemblance to Steven Spielberg, I'm going to answer this. But Matthew McConaughey is going to play Tim Burchett in the Tim Burchett story, okay? I just want you to know that. I can't talk about it. That's the problem. I got to go. Thank y'all. Hey, tell your people to call their dadgum congressman, all right? We want disclosure. That's all you got to say, disclosure.
Thank you. Leslie, you doing? Yeah.
Kristen, when you grab that.
I mean, we'll just kind of let it run here a little bit, right, Gino?
You know, very interesting what we have. It's sort of what I expected, a call to action rather than anything new.
Yeah.
But they did a good job. I don't know how this moves our needle at all, because this is what the same exact thing every single one of them has been saying for months. Again, nothing new. Nothing new was just said. Even the ask is nothing new. We've been asking this of the president and the government for months. So so I'm not sure what the priority was for this, but I'm glad that they're doing it. I feel like every one of them said important things. Certainly, Leslie Keene talked about the bodies and the biologics being the pilots, just like I said earlier. You know, we definitely want some kind of clarification on that. And if we are going to lift that veil, which is what they're asking for, then we should start with David Grusch, who specifically said, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Burchett said, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Well, let's lift that veil. So they are, just so we could start coming up with the right questions. Because maybe they're just not getting the right questions yet as well. They're not experts. They're you know, people who are looking for answers as well. So if we could lift that veil, then they'll get a more a bigger conversation to pull from, to pull their own questions to the government from. And that's what we need our representatives for, to hear the people and take the voice of the people up the line for us.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. You know, I'm afraid you may be right as far as the impact. My guess is the point of this, if it's me, if I'm thinking, okay, I'm putting this on, I'm hoping clips, people cover it. Look, we had 5,000 people watching it just on our channel alone, right? So the key is to just get more attention on it. Maybe the right person tunes into it, have clips go viral on social media. It keeps it in the conversation. Maybe one of those clips goes in front of Trump. He sees something he hasn't seen or heard something he hasn't heard. Even if we've heard it, it keeps getting repeated. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like everyone's heard all of this stuff. So that's my only thought, is just to bring attention. That's literally the entire point, is just to get attention and some media to cover it, outlets to cover it, and get some viral clips on social media to go. That's you know, that's all I can think. It's a simple task.
I feel like you and I have talked about this at length, is that every time that there's a news story that comes out that involves the government and UAPs, or every time a new documentary comes out, any film that comes out on the subject, whether you know, it's from Jeremy Corbell or any filmmaker, it's not new information to the people who are living this every single day. It's always to inch us forward to the people who we consider, you know, the normies, who aren't living the daily NHI, looking for it, searching for it, listening to every piece of media like we are. So this is to get the conversation moving forwards. You know, like, we're all inflamed about it, but we need the world to be inflamed, not just America. Like they said, they're calling out other countries to do the same as well. So we do need the entire world. Of course, we should start with America, to care about this, and to care about it more than the other things that they care about. Now, it's hard to do that when you have wars going on, when you have inflation going up 300%, when you have these terrible things that people have to deal with in their daily lives. Because let's face it, life is a train wreck for so many people in the world. It's hard for them to care about things that they will most likely never see or experience in their whole life, because most people have never seen a UFO. Most people have never had an experience with non-human intelligence. So it takes that experience to kind of get you into this community that we're in. But our community is still small. We need the people who aren't part of this community to join in and be as angry as we are, as vocal as we are.
Yeah, well said. Exactly. I totally agree. Yeah, I think it's clearly, this press conference isn't for people who already support disclosure, who follow this every day. What would be the point of that? This is for people who maybe either on the fence in, you know, in the government, maybe whistleblowers who are watching, who haven't come forward yet, people who have information, you know, they made that call to action, media to take it seriously. And again, your average everyday person who sees a viral clip on TikTok go. about this and says, oh, I'm going to call my congressman, or I do want to know about that, and let's push for it. And again, the ultimate audience is Trump, and getting him to want to do it, other than the fact that other people are interested, because that's what he said up until now. Well, I'm kind of doing it because other people are interested around me. We need Trump to be interested in it and want to, push behind it. And I guess you just have to keep sort of making those efforts to get him, interested, essentially. Real quick, Gino, let's answer some of these super chat questions, because they've been sitting here for a minute. So I want to make sure we get to them.
Perfect.
First, shout out to Probe Space again, gifted 5 better memberships. Thank you so much, Probe. Really appreciate it. Check out Probe Space if you haven't already. Follow him on Twitter. And this is from Dylan. Oh gosh, I got my glasses on. I still can't see. Dylan Isaac says, Patrick, thanks for hosting this event. SD619 in the house. I don't know what that means. 2 things quick. Skinwalker Ranch. Let's go, baby. Yeah, all right. Question. Any plans to go Peru and vet the Nazca mummies, reptilian remains? Peru, baby. Let's go. Best to you and the fam, brother. Cheers. Cheers to you, Dylan. Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, I really want to go. I actually, did I tell you that, that I had a chance while filming Psionics to go to Skinwalker Ranch after we had left when I was in Florida?
I don't remember.
When I was in Florida, before I moved to Spain, Carl Crusher reached out to me again and said, hey, we're going to Skinwalker Ranch. Do you want to go with us? And I couldn't make it work. So maybe one day I would love to go. Maybe that's a Gino and Patrick trip, baby. Go out to Skinwalker Ranch and see what's up, right? And Peru, the Nazca mummies. I got to be honest. I did a really deep dive investigation for like 3 months, probably one of the deepest dives I've ever done on Vetted for any particular topic, and spent months putting together a video and interviewing all kinds of people, doctors, people directly working on the mummies, and even this one central figure, Gonzalo, who is somebody nobody talked about, but was central to everyone who studies the mummies. And I have to admit, I was curious to go to Peru, because Gonzalo had told me, again, someone central to the investigation of the mummies was telling me the mummies are still alive and that they're hiding out in cave systems, and that there are live tridactyls running around Peru. Whole civilizations, not just like one had been seen. I'm talking whole civilizations underground. And my goal was, well, shit, I got to go check this out, right? But more things started to come out that were just not good about the mummies, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't believe in them and think it's a hoax. And maybe hoax is not the right word. I just don't believe that they are anything, exotic or out of this world or whatever. So I just didn't see the point of going on a trip to look into it. What do you think of the mummies, Gino?
Well, to let the audience in on a little bit as well, Patrick was so close to saying let's go that we were talking about booking flights. Like we were there. Like we were gonna go together to do the investigation. But again, a lot of information is there that you sift through. Jesse Michaels did a great video on the tridactyls that also piqued the interest and maybe pushed us one way of going instead of not going. So you got to take all the evidence, sort of take it all in, and then make your decisions on it. To clarify what Patrick was saying, he wasn't saying that the mummies themselves are still alive, but that the whatever those mummies are, the species is still alive, not those exact mummies.
Yes, good point.
Mummies walking around, but a little tridactyl mummy coming at you. That's a horror movie. But let's talk about that part to unpack it a little. If Patrick's more of the skeptic and I'm more of the believer. I do think that there's some possibilities that there are undiscovered species that are here on Earth. So I'm not saying that they're the tridactyls. I'm not saying that they're living in villages down there or in, cave cities or anything like that. But I think that there is some possibilities for that. Now, I don't know if it's enough to warrant a big trip like that for investigation yet. And I'll also say, I don't think Patrick has shut the door 100% yet. If more information comes out, we're still going to go. The investigation is not closed. It's just not ready for a visit. So I'll say it that way.
Yeah, well said. I totally agree with that. Absolutely. My door is always open. Even if I closed it, I'm willing to reopen it for new information coming out. That is without a doubt. I'm always willing to do that. And to warrant a big trip costs money. There's resources. Like, you got to really make sure it's worthwhile to go down. And so many other people have gone down and covered it in such a great way. You mentioned Jesse Michaels. It's almost like, well, what new thing am I going to bring? And that was the new thing I wanted to bring, right, with us going was, there's live tridactyls. That's interesting. That would be something worth covering, because I did get invited to go visit the mummies and touch them and hang out with them. Not hang out with them, get a coffee. That's not what I mean. I mean, just, but I just thought, well, I don't have the, what am I going to do that hasn't already been done? So that was the key aspect. And again, like Gino said, it's not that it's 100% closed. Just as of right now, that's not on the books. But am I willing to do it? For sure. This, without question, I'd be willing to do it. We got some other trips planned and some other ideas to do that I think are more worthwhile at the moment. So anyway.
And if we can, let me just to finish up. If we can get video footage of the live tridactyls, we would be on a plane tonight. Believe me.
Absolutely, bro. Without a doubt. Yes, absolutely.
And finally, about Skinwalker, it's me and Patrick went to Bradshaw Ranch together. We got to experience that. I would like to do a Skinwalker trip with them. As we start to plan out the places that we can travel, we have to deal with his international status and what's going on politically on a lot of things. But if we can get the Skinwalker, I certainly am going to try and get him there. We do have Phenomicon coming up, which is in Utah, close to Skinwalker Ranch. It's a few months from now. So if we could clear up some travel status, maybe you guys could push us over the edge to get there.
That would be cool. I like it. This is from UKG85. Sup, Patrick. Congratulations to you and the Vetted family. I really enjoyed the documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing the next one. Do we know all the faces here in the News Nation stream? Thank you, UKG85. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I knew everyone in the stream. There was a couple faces I wasn't familiar with, to be honest with you, in the background. They were screen left, stage left. I couldn't tell who they were. So I'm sure some people will figure that out for sure on Twitter and Reddit and Discords of everyone that was there. But I don't know about you, Gino. Did you recognize everybody? There was a couple faces I didn't know.
The only face I didn't recognize is who people were making the joke looked like Bill Burr, looked like Bill Burr's evil brother behind him, the bald guy. I
know who that is.
I recognized him, but I can't bring to mind who he is.
His name is Peter Skafish.
Okay.
Peter Skafish, that's his name.
Yeah. But everyone else, I think I recognized. I didn't really catch them panning over to anyone. I saw Jeff Nicatelli there, who I mentioned earlier. Let's see, we had David Grusch. Now, someone mentioned Jake Barber. Was Jake Barber there? I didn't see him.
I didn't see him either. I didn't see Jake Barber there. Peter Skafish was the bald guy. He is with the Soul Foundation. But it was the guy next to him on the other side, not Tim Gallaudet, but stage left. There was a guy next to him. I don't know who that is. His face maybe looked a little familiar, but I couldn't tell you who that guy was.
I need a screenshot to see. I feel like I didn't. I feel like I knew who it was because it didn't strike me as I didn't.
Yeah.
So now I got to look.
Yeah. Right on. All right. This is from Mr. Nightman 2000. Just show the alien. Can't disagree there. If this is true, statistically, a high resolution image or video exists and government doesn't have exclusivity. Where is it? Can't say I disagree. Absolutely. That's the claim, right? That there is evidence that is image video, and not just image video. There is the actual bodies that exist. Right. And I think, I forget who said it. Was it Luna's? One of them said it was like, or maybe it was Leslie Keene. I think it was actually, who was like, the craft. Okay, maybe that could be national security, but the bodies, why can't that be put out for study to scientists? Right. Totally agree. That's a brand new life form. We should be studying this. Okay, maybe the craft is this, that, the other. Absolutely agree. I've been saying this for a couple months on Vetted now. I'm done with the crafts. Show me the aliens. That's indistinguishable. You could be confused by a craft and maybe not know where it's from. But an alien body is going to be pretty definitive that it's not human and not of this earth, or at least not human or beings that we know of from this earth. So I'm all about that, getting that evidence out, and specifically not even just the evidence of these bodies, but the bodies themselves.
And let me add to that. So now the government will admit that we have biologics and / bodies of pilots. Okay. So if that's the case, what is, I need them to make the argument for why that part is a threat to national security. Because even if we saw video of those biologics, that gets us a step closer. All right, you can't bring it out onto a stage where someone could crash the stage and get it. It's got to be in a secure facility. Well, if we're going to admit that we have them and admit that there's biologics, let us pull that thread. Forget UAPs. Let's forget the sentient orbs that they're talking about. Okay, sentient orbs, they're up there. There's nothing we could do. We're not capturing them with a butterfly net. But if we have in our possession biologics that are being studied right now, why can't we have at least film of those biologics? There's no possible way that can have any effect on national security. If it does, let them explain what the threat to national security is and why they can't bring that out, rather than just not bringing it out. Explain what the threat is. And because if they explain what the threat is, that gets us one step closer to saying, well, we are saying we have them, but we can't show them because of this threat. Well, that's a better answer for the American people than we're not allowed to know, or we're not allowed to see them.
I don't have a clapping soundboard, but I totally agree, Gino. Yes, well said. And, I was thinking, while the press conference was happening, and it post press conference, when they did the Q&A, and that woman, or I don't know who it was, I could barely hear the questions, first of all. And just as some advice to anyone, terrible. Advice to anyone that does the press conferences, have the person that's asked a question repeat the question back into the mic, right? That's the way to solve that. So that person just asked XYZ, and then you answer the question. That helps that. But anyway, that's just experience with doing live events. But I would say when one of the people there, reporters, or I don't know who it was, asked David Grusch about the, quote, 4 alien species. And David Grusch answered kind of quickly, right? Like, well, there's some, he used words I don't even know. They were smart words. They were big words. I'd never heard them before. I don't know what the hell he said. I don't even know I can't even repeat it. I can't even make a joke. It was like, well, we got blah 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 blah. Our orcadado pipedal no, I don't know what the fuck. Why wasn't the press conference just about that? Talk about the aliens and the species and what you know about them and this and that and you know what I mean? That was just right. Like a quick answer, and then they wanted to It's almost like he didn't want to talk about that. Like he quickly answered, well, there's 4. Wait a second. That's literally what this press conference is about, is bringing that evidence out. So talk about that, right? Make a whole press conference talking about that. That blows my mind they're not doing that. They
Right.
didn't do that.
And now we're at a situation where the technology is being conflated with the biologics. So because they could protect everything by talking about it being technology, and that being going back to that it's a threat. But you can't say the biologics is a threat. It does not make sense. If we have them
I
and they're
agree.
captured, the only way they could say it is by us showing that would cause some kind of alien human war or something along those lines, which I do not think is even the realm of possibilities.
I totally agree. Yeah, I don't, and most likely they're not alive. So, all right. So Larry Kwartowitz, hope I'm saying that right. I think it's interesting. Grusch said a continuum of bipedal being, that's what it was, something like that, to sentient plasmoids. I think that's new, right? I agree. Those are words I hadn't heard before described about these beings. And again, why wasn't that just a big chunk of the press conference, like specifics about these beings, right? You want some shit to go viral? You want some clips to go viral? That's, talk about it. If that's true, you should have no problem talking about it, right? If that's the thing, like give us the meat and bone, like that's disclosure right there. Essentially, like tell us that stuff that you basically have a potential for unofficial disclosure by doing that, right? In the sense that you can say all that stuff, then the government can verify it and go, yes, that's true. Boom, disclosure, right? So it's like, I just think it's a missed opportunity to not talk about that. I'm glad that question got asked. Whoever asked that question, great job. That was a good question to ask.
And let's talk about the baby steps that we've taken here through Congress. So I think we're at the point, because of the congressional hearings, that we are over 50% of America believing in UAPs, believing in UFOs. So if we're already past that point, we need the baby steps to move beyond the technology to the biologics. It's the next most fascinating aspect of this. We've already accepted, like they said, the sentient plasmoids. Well, we know orbs are in the air. I mean, whatever orbs are, if they're man-made, if they're not man-made, if they're from another planet, if they're interterrestrial, whatever they are, we know they're there. I mean, it's almost too hard to deny that fact at this point. And a lot of people who are just normal people feel like they've seen them with their own eyes, not even going out looking for these type of things. So since we're beyond craft, let's talk about biologics. It's the next baby step we need to get to. And if they focused on that very specific aspect, then rather than taking the hour that we just did on this, if they focused only on the biologics, it would move us forward a little bit more. We didn't get anywhere because we weren't focused on the biologics. That's my feeling.
Totally agree. And to be fair, like I personally am having the revelation after the press, like after it was over. It's like, dude, why weren't we? That should have been the only topic to bring up. Maybe not the only topic, but that should have been the meat and potatoes instead of just a quick question and answer at the very end that you could he barely spoken to the mic about it. Right. And it was like, well, we got this being and that being, and that's other things. And what do you mean? What the fuck? Get into the details, bro. Trust me. Right. No other question needs to be asked. No, we don't need to talk about anything else. Like take the stage.
Here's what David Grusch should be saying. He should be saying, I've testified about biologics. Let me talk about biologics. It should be nothing else. It should not be, freedom, amnesty for everyone. I want that. But if we focused the congressman on saying, this man has said he is aware of where biologics are and what they are, And we as congressmen want to see that and talk about it, and we're not being allowed. That's where the focus should be. This man says this under threat of that if he's lying to Congress, it's treason. So let's figure out, is he telling the truth? We want to know, as the representatives of Congress and representatives of America, that should be the whole focus. How do we turn that conversation into this? We already know UAPs are there. We already know the technology is there. Let's keep studying that. But we have a direct path right now to open this up through this man, David Grusch, and through our power as congressmen. That's where we should be focused.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree. We are simpatico there for sure. Pizza and Philosophy says, to everyone in here whining like a newborn baby, how many of you have called your representative? All right, that's fair. I'll defend the people whining like a newborn baby just to play devil's advocate. You know, some people probably feel used, abused, told stories and lies maybe for countless years and just want to see some shit. And that can get frustrating. So what may seem like whining may just be a, I don't know the word in English, like desahogar. That's how you say it in Spanish, desahogar. Like you want to just get that shit off your chest and whatever. So, but I get it. But at the same time, yes, people should put some action in and, you know, make some calls. The irony would be if Pizza and Philosophy had not called his representative, but I'm sure he has. But yeah, totally get it.
And let's talk about that for 1 second. Everyone, it's a good idea what he's saying. Everyone should call your representative. If that has ringed any kind of bell for you, you should go to ChatGPT. You should put in your address and ask, who is my representative and what is the phone number, or how do I email them, and do it today. There's no reason that the 5,000 people watching now wouldn't make a dent. It will make a dent. Every letter, you know, there was a time in my past that AJ and I worked with Congress, and we worked on the congressional level, working with software. And the software we were creating had to do with being constituent management. So if someone writes in a letter, they will write you back a letter, and they will make sure that they know that you care about this particular issue, and they will keep you informed on that issue. And this is going back 20 years now. Now, however that it has evolved since me and AJ have been in that business, it's got to be even better. So if you're not afraid of being on that list and saying, I believe in UAPs, because I'm past that. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm out loud as possible saying, give me the evidence. I want to know. I'm not afraid of you putting me on a list of believers. So if you're not afraid, then you should do exactly that. Go to ChatGPT, ask it for the phone number and email address, and put in any kind of information that you can. Request information on how your representative feels about it and what they're going to do about it. You could ask those two very direct questions, and they will answer those questions. How do they feel about it, and what are they going to do about it?
Love it. Totally agree. Mr. Nightman 2000 is back. He says, when we finally see an alien, because that must happen at this point with all the pomp, do you think it will be alive or unalived? Oh, that's a good question. Alive, I could see there being more of an issue about bringing that being forward. Unalive, that seems like less of an issue. But odds, you know, what's been the claims that have been made over the years is that there's both. There are unalived bodies and live bodies, depending on who you believe in their stories, right? So I don't know. Clearly, it would be cool, just from a curious standpoint, if one of them was alive, right? That would be quite interesting for sure. What do you think?
Now that has never been said in a congressional hearing. It has never once been said that whatever recovery of biologics is still alive. And no one has asked that question. And that drives me crazy, because that is something that we should be asking and need to know, even if they need to say that's classified. No one has asked that question. You talked about biologics. You talked about pilots, bodies of pilots. Our Were they alive, and are they still alive? Ask that question, and let's get at least to the point where they say that's classified. Because if we get to that point, we could say, previously you've said this is classified. We need to know the answer to this and why we're not getting that answer. And again, these are direct questions that if I was in Burleson's or Burchett's ear, I would be asking them to ask this. I got about 5 minutes to talk to Burleson when I was in DC, and I feel very strongly that this is not an act for him, that this is not some kind of political thing for him to be utilizing into his advantage. He is after the truth. So we could talk to these congressmen. They're after the same thing as us. It is not a dance. Even though we're not getting to what we want and not getting the answers, I don't believe that these 3 congressmen particularly are participating in anything that is trying to hide the truth from us. They are trying to get to it. I salute all 3 of them, Burleson, Burchett, and Luna.
Yeah, and Moskowitz. I'll throw Moskowitz in there too.
Sure, of course.
Right. Yeah. All right. This is from Android Paranormal. What's up, Android? Grusch. Government knows about bipedal biological beings and sentient plasmoid life. If true, it proves consciousness is not created by the brain. Thoughts. Let me think about that. What if that's true? It proves consciousness is not created by the brain. Why would that prove consciousness is not created by the brain? Because of sentient plasmoid life? Is that the implication there? I'm a little confused.
I guess so, but I think to peel that onion back a little bit, I don't think we even know what consciousness is for us yet. I think that's
100%.
It's still out there. So to try and understand something we don't understand how it works for us. How are we going to begin to understand how it works for other beings? Because let's forget aliens. How does it work for turtles? Is there consciousness in turtles? How does it work for things that we're aware of? And I am being serious. We have trouble understanding where, when you look at, Coco, the gorilla, who's able to communicate with sign language and having long conversations with Robin Williams. Where's consciousness fit for them? Are they part of it as well? When we're talking about consciousness in these bipedal biological beings, are you saying choice? Are you saying, intelligent design? And intelligent design is hard to say, because we're designing AI. That's intelligent design right now. Yeah. I also, this is another episode. I think we're discovering AI more than developing it, but that's another conversation.
I mean, that's an interesting thought for sure. Almost every invention, you could argue, is a discovery of something that clearly exists. You're just figuring out how it goes together, right?
Right.
So
I put it back to when we're talking about, say, Wi-Fi. We did not invent Wi-Fi. We discovered how to use it. The waves that our information travel on existed in the world.
Correct.
before Wi-Fi did. So we discovered how to harness it. That's what we're trying to do with consciousness. We need to discover how to harness consciousness. We need to discover what it really means. Does it is like they're saying, is it in the brain, created by the brain? I don't think so. I think your consciousness and the soul exist, that whatever that life force is exists beyond any organs.
Yeah,
I think and to go to comparison again, it would be radio signals. That consciousness and your soul is a radio signal, and your body is the radio receiving the signal. It's tuned in, and it could only pick up that one frequency. Sometimes it picks up multiple frequencies, and you remember your past lives or things like that. Now, I'm not saying that's science or how it works. I'm just saying that's how someone with a simple brain like mine is able to kind of make it all work out. That, hey, you are receiving the consciousness and soul through this body, which is just in tune to that one soul.
Yeah, that's some deep shit for sure, right? I mean, yes, it's a mystery. There's more mystery than discovery at this point. One, because just by default, we don't know how much mystery there is, right? So how deep does the well of mystery go? We have no idea. We don't know what we don't know, so we don't even know how big of a pond or lake of information we're missing out on. So just by default, which, to be fair, to me makes it worthwhile. I hope humanity doesn't figure everything out one day. Like that seems like a boring end to me of discovery. You know what I mean? Of discovery. Like, oh, we got it all figured out. Like, oh fuck, boring.
You know, and a lot of people, again, when you're trying to wrap your mind around it, you think, all right, if they have a biological being, then they've got someone like a person, but it doesn't mean they're like a person, because just because we have evolved to have individual lives and thought doesn't mean that nature works that way. If you look at how ants work, it's a hive mind. So who's to say that any other biological being would be an individual, would be thinking individually? They might have developed as a biological hive mind species. So we might have something that isn't an individual, that we can't ask individual questions of. Now, one of the things that Jacques Vallée said during one of his panels at Contact in the Desert was he talked about there being a being that is in custody of some kind, that he's aware of, that they're trying to develop a language between humans and this entity. Well, that's a big jump. That is a large jump between what we know now and to be true and what the government's telling us. Well, I tend to believe Jacques Vallée because he is one of the most important people in ufology. So if that's true, just like David Grusch, let him talk about it. Let him. Who cares if we're talking about black budget stuff anymore? Let's open the doors, open the floodgates. We're talking about black budget stuff that happened over 30 years ago. It's time. Figure out how to release the stuff from 30 years ago.
And just to reiterate, you're saying, because I need to make a video on this, to be honest with you. That's a bombshell. Okay, to coin my term. You're saying when you were at Contact in the Desert, you heard Jacques Vallée said that, I don't know, whoever, the U.S. government, we have a being that we are developing, an alien being that we are developing a language to communicate with.
So that was my takeaway from it, and and I watched this panel, and I had conversations with people who followed up, who watched it also, and that was their takeaway as well. So after it, I did try and have a direct follow-up conversation with him about it, and I didn't get to the answers or even the questions I wanted to, because we had a short time, and he does have hearing aids. So I was having a communication it's the irony. I was having a communication problem between me and him, where I'm trying to figure out the communication between him and an alien. So so I didn't get to it, and I my plan is to rewatch, because out of everything at Contact, his panels were, I believe, the most important, and so I am looking forward to watching the replay of that to make sure I understood that correctly. So and I do think the replays are out now. If you're not going to Contact in the Desert, you should. It's a great place for everyone to get their questions answered, to be able to interact with these people, to interact with people like myself and Patrick, and be able to tell us questions that you want us to ask of these people. So, we need more things like Contact. Contact's a great conference. There's not enough of them.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I hear, I mean, when I heard you tell that, all my, I'm sure you have the same question. Are we talking about the U.S. government? You know, has this being, and how are they holding it? And one, how has Jacques heard this information? How far along are they in this language? Is it written? Is it an audible language? Is it, how long have they been developing it with this being? Did they have a starting point? Like, and are they developing a different type of language with the being because they can't learn the being's language? Does that make sense? Like the beings talk or doing something, and we're like, oh, we can't figure. Let's figure out some other way to communicate with. Like, right? I just have so many questions. And if they have already developed a language, that means there are at least some preliminary conversations that they've had. What have those been about? What have we learned from some of these conversations? And is there more than one being? Is that being on its last leg? Where did the being come from? Did it land here in a craft and got out? We have it in prison. Is it here on its own accord? There are plans for it to go back. God, right. I just have so many bazillion questions when I hear something like that. It's fascinating. And I like Jacques Vallée too. So for him to say something like that, that's what piques my interest. That's what makes me want to find out. I need to hear I need to go back and see if I can listen to the replay of that, of Jacques' little thing. All right, I'm gonna do this for like 10 more minutes, Gino, and we'll close out. So we'll just do some last minute questions here. All right, we got Jay Fliger sent a super sticker in. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much again, ma'am. Jay Fliger, thank you very much. This is from Grand. It says, if the government and ETs made an agreement, as Grusch has alluded to, the only thing the military can offer is helping dismiss the topic and maintain secrecy among the population. Disclosure breaks the agreement. That's interesting, right? That's definitely a possibility that disclosure would break the agreement that they have together. I don't. If we don't know the details, I don't see how you dismiss that. If we don't know, it's definitely in the realm of possibility. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, if these beings are in that agreement, they also have to know that they're in an agreement with a small amount of the population, and they can't stop the rest of the population from moving this forward. They could maybe stop that small amount of people from just coming out directly and saying yes, but eventually the story about the guy who beats up an alien and puts it in his freezer is going to come true. So, we're at a point where you can't just rely on the testimony of the government. And again, I think we talk about this so often. Disclosure is not going to come from the government. It's going to come from the people. Now, we want answers from the government. Any answers we get, everyone in this chat is still going to question. So no matter what they tell us, even if they rolled out a body, half of America is going to go, this is CGI. It's going to, that's just the way it is. And half of our own community is going to say that. If you look in the chat that's going on now, you could just see how the differences of opinion on whether what would happen if there was disclosure or not. So I don't think disclosure. I think what we're doing here with the government's important, but I don't think it's the end of the conversation or the answer that we're all going to be looking for. It's gonna create more questions, and it's just going to be, again, a baby step forward for us. We're probably lifetimes away from the understanding of why there would be different beings in the universe.
Yeah, well said. This is from Zaparu. Zaparu says, thanks, Patrick. This was more distraction from Operation Breadcrumb. It's physics. The 0.5% controlling the military industrial complex is hiding. Follow the money. Anitronic fusion, AI, quantum compute, moon mining, MH370 Geno. Okay. Sure.
All right.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I understand. I don't exactly understand the full point of that, but what they're saying, I think, is part of what we're talking about, because once the government admits that they've had research on the technology, then we are talking about the thing that matters most to humanity, which is 0-point energy. So if these things are being reverse engineered, and if the Tic Tac, if just the Tic Tac is a Lockheed Martin reverse engineered craft, that means 0-point energy for sure is real, because we know that they're observing these craft hovering for hours and then going back up into the sky or down into the water. That has to be 0-point energy. There's no possible way in physics for that to happen without 0-point energy. So if that's the case, and 0-point energy is hidden from humanity, it is the biggest crime against humanity that has ever occurred. Forget aliens, forget biologics. If 0-point energy is being hidden from the people, it is holding humanity back, and it's holding humanity back by an exponential number, because that's how far if they said 0-point energy was real, it wouldn't be an instantaneous thing for us to say, all right, all the world's problems are solved. However, it would be the catalyst to solve all the world's problems eventually. We'd be able to have clean water, desalinization, because that powers the problem. We'd be able to have better desalinization, create better food. Access to water creates more food. We'd solve the hunger problem around the world. So everyone who's living in this, zeitgeist is, looking at robots being made by Elon Musk, that they're going to change the world and do all the work for us. If 0-point energy is real, we don't even need the robots to do it. Of course, that's going to happen anyway. But what I'm saying is that 0-point energy solves, within decades, all of the major problems of the world. Not the problems between human to human, but all the problems that humans are facing outside of human to human.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. All right, this is the last one, because I got to get going. Just want some. Oh, what's up, Just want some? Good to see you, man. If there are 4 different types of alien species and one of them is reptilians, are we honestly admitting that David Icke is right? Is that what's happening now, really? That doesn't necessarily mean David Icke is right, because what if I were to say there's a secret dolphin civilization living in the Bermuda Triangle that sells tacos and makes emo music? Well, dolphins are real, but what he's saying about dolphins isn't real. So reptilians could be real, and what David Icke has said about reptilians could not be real. That's my opinion on that, right? Like that one doesn't necessarily confirm the other. Just because David Icke has talked about reptilians doesn't mean what he said about reptilians are real. And I personally seen zero evidence of any reptilians, but that's kind of my outlook there.
Yeah, you sound like a hater by calling him David Icke. It sounds like you got the ick for him. Usually it's David Icke.
How do you say his name? Oh, is it Ike? Oh, my bad. My bad. I didn't know. I honestly, that was an honest mistake there. I promise.
And you hit on something that we've talked about down at the Y-Files also. A lot of people have clamored to have David on the Basement podcast, but it's where's the line on what he believes versus what most likely could be the truth, and I think you hit it. Just because reptilians might be real, David Icke saying that they're in our government and running our government, those things might not be true. However, to think that there is other species that could have lived here underground and under the water and remained, without our knowledge, throughout history before humans and throughout the history of humans, which is a drop in the bucket of the earth. I don't think that's too far-fetched. Now, I don't believe that species, if it does exist, would be living the same way as us. They obviously didn't develop the same way as us. They're not soccer moms that are going to McDonald's during the day. They live an entirely different way, and most likely they would not care as much about what we're doing up here unless we're trying to hurt the environment. It's like saying, again, to use an ant analogy, when you walk by ants, only once in a while do you care to look down and see what they're doing. For the most part, they just do what they're doing and you do what you're doing.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes, and Zabaru says 100% Gino to what you said earlier to his comments. And to Deswansum, real quick, I just want to say, Deswansum, I know you're in the Philippines, man. I saw what happened with the earthquakes and everything. I hope you're doing okay. And that was devastating. So I hope you and your family are okay with that. But all right, we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you to Gino for jumping on the live stream. He's a busy man, but he made some time for this press conference and to hang out and talk about psionics. And I want to thank everyone in the chat for participating and hanging out. All opinions welcome. This is an exciting topic, and it raises a lot of emotions in people, myself included. So I get it. But I thank everyone for joining the conversation and being part of it. And, at the end of the day, with this press event, press conference, whatever you want to call it, we'll have to wait and see if this call to action brings forth any action. But anyway, I want to say, if you haven't checked out the film that Gino and I participated in last summer, Psionics, that's what it's called, Vetted's very first feature-length documentary, Psionics, The Minds That Summon UFOs. It is available now. Go to psionics.film. There's a link in the description. You can watch the film. Everyone has seemed to have loved it, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up my ass. I've literally seen those reviews from people that generally would tell me if they thought it was a piece of shit. So, anyway, check out the film if you haven't already. Gino, any last thoughts here?
No, thanks for having me. Of course, these things are important. We need to continue to have these touch points, even with our own audiences, to talk about things like we did, to talk about, hey, you guys can get the word out to your representatives. You guys can help, control this narrative and move it towards what we need it to be moved towards. And it's us sharing these kind of ideas together that create the ability for people like Patrick and I to even have the ideas of how are we going to help. We're in a position where we can once in a while talk to those representatives, talk to those speakers and those whistleblowers. So I will take everything we talked about today, and I'm going to have a conversation with Jeff Nucatelli about it. I know I'm going to have a conversation with him because I'm going to thank him for standing up there. So, and it's going to be things that we talked about just today on this live stream that I'm going to bring up to him. So it's important to participate. It's important to have more and more of these kind of conversations. And thanks to everyone that's in the chat and participating with us, because you're as important to us creating what kind of ways we're going to communicate this message to the other people who have some sort of faucet of information to turn on and off.
100%. Well said. Gino, of course, with the final words there, final wise words, and I totally agree. I'm going to end, guys, and leave you with the trailer for Psionics. So we're going to end, and you'll be able to watch the trailer for the film if you haven't already. But again, thank you to everyone who jumped. Oh, real quick, thank you to the moderators, my mods for Vetted, who Heiser, Ali, Jess. Thank you guys so much for rocking in the chat and handling. That's not easy to do with that many people. So thank you guys so much. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace. For years, mankind has explored hidden powers of the mind. Most dismissed it as science fiction.
It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what we're doing believing in all this nonsense over all these years.
But what if they were wrong? What if you could summon UFOs? With your mind. What if you had the power inside of you all this time? Would you try it? Would you be afraid? Or would you just go for it?
Because these are going nuts.
They're going off.
And you interact with them, you form a bond. Oh no, you can't record any of this. Turn it off.
Turn it off for a second.
Controversial, huh? That's my middle name.
It's like it turned on and got brighter for 1 second.
Yeah.
I know there's aliens inside there.
You see that, Patrick? Oh my god.
Did you hear that? Something is in the bushes right behind you, dude.
I'm ready to see something. If you're willing to show it to me, I'm open. I just want to see what you are. And I look up, and there are these orange lights that are just drifting above the tree line.
I just don't even know what I'm doing with my life.